Hey everyone, welcome to our Tuesday 10-minute or way less lesson ideas. Today we were talking about all of those end of the year projects that students are doing and doing them on a portfolio platform that also serves as a presentation platform. That's Bulb. So some things that are really good to consider is thinking beyond the PowerPoint presentation. What tools are students using to communicate their ideas? They can communicate them in so many different ways, and they should be encouraged to use lots of different ways to communicate. So thinking about and having them think about breaking up text with images, images that they created or maybe images that they specifically found that supported their message. So making sure they have really great visual components to it. And then utilizing video and audio clips. It's a great way to capture a student's actual voice, gives them a different outlet for being able to share their ideas. And they might even find that using their voice is they're more able to communicate effectively than what they do in the written word. Everyone has their strengths. So, and then maybe about creating an infographic. You know, we live in a very visual world that likes to have information organized in a very graphic manner. So helping teach and stretching students to think about creating their own infographics. And maybe even trying apps like ThingLink or Book Creator. There's a bajillion out there where students are actually creating interactive content and they're thinking about presenting content in different ways that would kind of engage their audience. The last thing they might want to think about is organization. How do you organize the information? It's so important to think about purposeful breaks, how information is displayed, and the different ways that they can do that, and that really impacts that mode of communication. So having them really consider that in their presentation is important. And then also, it's really good to have students think about documenting process and reflection and understanding that process and conveying that and being able to convey um, the actual process that went into the project. And so you may want to have them do some reflection throughout or at the end. Maybe some ideas would be what inspired the idea, what prior knowledge did you have, you know, what comes easily to you, what are you most proud of, thinking about the challenges, how they tackle those challenges, would they approach them differently if they were to do it over again, having them self-evaluate, like what areas do you think you grew in the most? What does the audience need to know about the process of the project that they might not know? You know, in the art world, we get a lot of information when the artist kind of tells us about the journey and the inspiration and where some of the ideas came from. Same with the project. You might be able to learn a lot about the student and about the final project just by getting a window into the start through the finish of that project. And then not only do students can respond to these reflection prompts, but having them really think about what artifacts can they collect along the way to be able to help them document and convey that process. So can they take digital pictures of things that they're doing, or if they are creating, making sure that they take a snapshot or a screenshot along the way showing how that process works or capturing iterations or feedback and how they made improvements on that. All great ways to document process. So let's get into some of our bulb examples. We're going to start with Katie, who wrote a beautiful piece called A Day or So in the Life of an Automotive Designer. She actually takes us through a beautiful journey of where her inspiration came for this particular piece, and then what issues she saw and how she was going to address those. What was frustrating her, and then giving actual pictures along the way of how the piece progressed. With some final thoughts at the very end. This student did a great job of communicating an idea. What do you need to know about Generation Z? Using lots of different visual elements, from videos to embedded documents, images, infographics, all come together to really show off and help explain her idea. When we talked about organization, not everything has to be done on one bulb page. Utilizing a collection, think about those as folders, and breaking up your work, just like you would maybe in a PowerPoint presentation, breaking it up into different pages within a collection, gives you the ability to be able to share different parts of your project and be able to present it, or allow the authors to or the readers to be able to read, like in chapters of a book, the different pieces of your project. So you're giving it to them in very digestible chunks. With lots of visual images, videos, and so forth. Now this project does a great job of really walking through and capturing all the different components and steps that went along in the process, with great explanation of what each of these images mean into the final project, and then documenting the actual presentation in the end. So now, not only were they able to present to an audience, but they'd have this presentation in their portfolio that was well documented. This student uses a great infographic as a way to convey an important message and break up her text in her project. So just giving some ideas of different ways that you can utilize Bulb as a place to put final presentations. Don't forget that when you are on your Bulb page, if you scroll down to the very bottom, there is a button, the presentation tool, that allows you to present and have a full screen presentation that you can click through. And you can also click the presentation button at the top of the page at the top of a collection, such as this. And then for the end, I'd like to share a tip about creating content on Bulb. Did you know that if you have our paid platform, you can actually embed lots of different types of websites and content right onto your Bulb page using our URL icon? So if you click the URL, you actually can take a website, or maybe it's another Bulb page, copy the URL, paste it, and you will get embedded content. You could embed a Prezi, putting in the URL, public URL of your Prezi. You can embed it right onto your page. You could embed a thing link. Again, copying and pasting the public URL, submitting it, and all of a sudden your content displays right on your page. You can resize. And then you'll notice it says embeds are not interactive in edit mode, but you can always go up to your right-hand side, click the preview this page, and view what your content would be like before you published it. You can interact with your thing link on your page. You can actually present and view the Prezi right on your page, so people stay on your page and never leave. It's a great way to utilize a large variety of different types of content. Thanks so much for learning with us today. We look forward to having you guys back next Tuesday.